So dramatic. What happened to 3, 2, 1? Did we just skip that?
It did. Such a countdown that was.
Okay.
Oh boy, we got the giggles. Karen's got the giggles today.
Yeah, it's that kind of day. Okay, so here we go. Welcome to Beers and Biscuits, a dogcast for the rest of us. I'm Karen.
And I'm Nicole.
Grab a beverage, give your dog a biscuit, and enjoy the conversation. So, we're having a bit of a giggle here, and I'm all for it because, like, or at least, like I say, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
Right. Exactly.
So tonight's episode, I was really pumped because I was like, I'm going to get behind the scenes. But then I didn't get as much as I wanted. But tonight's episode features none other than Nicole's lovely sister, Carly. How was it having your sister?
Sister and business partner, so
Yes,
double whammy.
Yeah.
It was great. I think weirdly, I think this was the most nervous. The most nervous I have been
Really?
to record. Yeah, which is weird because obviously I see her all the time. Like there's, it shouldn't. I feel like I was more nervous recording this one because I just, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we had fun doing it and that we got some really good information out of it. So yeah, what did you think?
Well, I mean, I can understand being nervous about it because, like, it's one thing to, like, work with somebody on a business you've built together and be their sister and have that history, but then to bring that person onto something that you yourself are creating and, like, then have to, like, kind of be serious about it. Like, I know, like, one day I might talk my sister into doing this, but I don't know if we're capable of taking it as seriously as you guys did. Not serious like that we didn't have fun, but you just both did, I thought, like a really beautiful job at,
Aw,
sharing your story.
thank you. Thank you.
Of course. It was neat too to see the sister dynamic, the business dynamic, but also just to hear about, sometimes I think the stories of people who are related to a dog trainer don't, or a dog professional or whatever we want to call them, like they get kind of lost, or your dog shouldn't be that way because you're related to somebody who knows how to help. And not that her dog was any kind of way, but just I just think sometimes those stories
Yeah.
don't get as much traction,
Well, and I think too, something that should be said, and I think we did touch on it for like a very brief second in the episode, but we did kind of gloss over it, is that, I may have a little bit more in-depth education and in-depth experience, but that by no means my sister is not also a trainer, because she is. She did go
Correct. Yes.
to school for that. She has been doing that for a long time. And it's always kind of like, it's nice that she'll ask my opinion about things, of course, right? Like to have that and have her feel okay with asking me. But I also try to like prop her up in the same respect, because like don't discredit yourself. Like don't discount your abilities and your knowledge because it's there. And so yeah, so I mean, I can see what you're saying, that sometimes it's like having that, or like, having a spouse that's a dog trainer maybe. Um, I can see that, but she is a trainer in her own right, and I want her to feel proud of saying that.
Absolutely, because I love to what they'll get to hear in a little bit is that like she was talking about like just meeting her dog where the dog is at and accepting that sometimes you can only get so far in behavior modification with medication, whatever it may be. And at some point, we do have to accept this is our dog and we have to love them regardless.
Right.
And I loved that she shared that and talking about 4th of July and all those things. And so it's a really beautiful story.
Yeah. And I feel like too, like, it's okay. It's okay to love your dog for all of the things, right? Like, of course, like I love them for their companionship and all of these things that the dogs bring us, but I also love them not because of their struggles, but their struggles don't detract from my love for them. And I feel like that's, she's very upfront about that. Like there's no question. And I know it can be frustrating sometimes. Especially, you'll hear in the episode that, she's the guardian of a small dog, a teeny tiny little chihuahua, and so that brings its own challenges. Even if Harley like did not have a single issue, that brings its own challenges. But yeah, I never felt like that got in the way, or, you know, overshadowed their love and their bond with each other.
And I also loved that she, obviously, given her history and her education and all of that, she is going to be a little bit more aware and knowledgeable of things than most people. But I also loved that she didn't just write off the behavior because the dog is a small dog, which
Right.
often happens. So, recognizing that these behaviors happen in small dogs too is so, so important. And that's why I was
Right.
really looking forward to this episode.
Absolutely. All right.
Wonderful.
Well, let's get started.
Wonderful. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode. And tonight, our guest, I just realized I only know your first name, but our guest is Carly. And I'm really excited for this because Carly is Nicole's sister. So
Yes.
we've got our first family episode happening. So Nicole, why don't you take it away and introduce your sister to us?
Yeah, so Carly is not only my sister, but she's also my business partner for our dog walking company. And yeah, so I'm really excited, not only because obviously like it's nice to get that support from family, so thank you, but also because I do feel like you have a lot of really good things that you could share that people would really benefit from. Um, so yeah. So Carly, why don't you give us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've been dog walking for a long time. Um, I have been working part-time at a rehab vet clinic for the past 2 years. Just really, really part-time, just because I've been slowing down a little bit with the walks, just because I'm getting older. And it's a very like physical and emotional job, dog walking.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to just have something else. And maybe eventually, you know, when I can't dog walk anymore, that I'll have something else to do. Yeah, so that's basically my career wise what's going on with me. But I live with my husband and my chihuahua and my 2 rabbits. Yeah, so I don't know what else. That's it.
So what made you go into dog walking?
Whoa,
Oh wait,
Nicole.
okay, sorry.
First of all, before we get into, you always skip it.
I do.
You know, if
I'm
you've
just so
listened to
excited.
any of our episodes, we don't just dive into the hard topics. We need to start with 1 or 2 icebreakers. So I've got 2 for you tonight, Carly.
All right.
I like to think they're easy, but they could also be difficult. So your first one on Beers and Biscuits this evening is, if all of your clothes had to be one color forever, what color would you pick?
I think I would pick black. But I don't think that's like a reflection on my personality necessarily. I think it's just because it goes with everything. You know, if you have to go to like a formal event, then you are set. You know,
That's true.
You can always dress it up with some jewelry or like a headband or something.
And I feel like there's like 17 shades of black too, you know? So
yeah.
You're good.
Which is funny. I thought you were going to say yellow. Because everything yellow.
I do like yellow.
I know, like, for a present, I can't go wrong if it's yellow.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a yellow sweatshirt, she has a million sweatshirts, but if it's a yellow sweatshirt, it'll be good. She's got, bags galore, but if it's a yellow bag, it'll be good.
Yep.
Well, all right then. We're getting deep already. We're figuring some things out. All right. So then your next one, I think this one is, well, no, it probably could be equally as difficult, but are you a window or an aisle seat person? I'm
going to say a window.
Yeah.
I do have to pee, so I'm going to annoy somebody.
Right.
Because I'll have to get up. I have to pee a lot. But I like the window because it's entertaining. Just looking out the window,
It's easier to fall asleep too because you can rest your head on the window.
Yeah. I don't usually fall asleep on planes though.
See, I don't either. So I'm a window seat if it's a short flight, but if it's a long flight, I'm an aisle person, so I can get up a bunch of times.
Yeah, I always make sure when I'm buying tickets for something for us to go to that I get at least one end seat so that she can get out easily.
I like it.
8 million times.
Yeah.
All right. I actually have one too. I actually have an icebreaker. Okay. All right. If you had to swap legs with an animal for the rest of your life, what animal would it be? And
legs?
Legs.
Oh my God.
These are serious questions, okay?
I know this is weird, but I kind of feel like bunnies, because if I could swap the back legs with them and then I'd be able to hop and jump really far. Yeah. And people would think I was cute, hopping around everywhere.
True.
I like it. I appreciate you not going for an obvious one, giraffe legs, so I can have really long legs,
I'm used to being short, so it's fine.
That'll do it.
All right. Well, let's get into it. So I'll go back to my other question. Wait, we also talked about the other part of the beginning, which is, Karen, do you have any beverage tonight?
Nicole, we now do that in our little...
Do we? Okay. Forget that. Disregard.
Good, because I just have water.
Okay, so getting into the meat of this episode, so what was it that kind of drew you to dog walking and kind of building a career and a business around dog walking?
I think it was the dogs, honestly. Just after working with people and having to deal with like management and all these rules, and I feel like having to deal with dogs is just a lot more rewarding.
Right.
And not having to worry about, following somebody else's rules, but being my own boss is, it's a lot better than, and then you can change what you want to. If you see another company doing something that you're not a fan of, then you don't have to do that. You can you can make your own rules there.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah. But I think really the dogs is what did it, because people just are disappointing, and they just, I mean.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we always had animals growing up. I mean, we had Tara, or the German Shepherd, growing up. I had I can't even remember how many cats over the years that we've had. And so I feel like, that was just kind of always maybe something that we were going to be drawn to. And without putting words in your mouth, I feel like we both find a lot of comfort in animals. So I feel like that's just a natural segue for the both of us.
Yeah. I also feel like I do have, not that I have human motherly instincts, but I do feel like I have that instinct to care for somebody else, and you know what I mean? So it makes me feel like I'm, like I said, it's rewarding. It makes me feel like I'm doing something, making a difference in their life, I guess.
So I have a question for, I guess, probably both of you. Hang on, Nicole, I'm going to move, and I know you hate it when I do that. But okay, so my question, and I also don't know if you want to share this on the podcast, so we can always take it out later. But I was always interested in how you guys came up with the name of your business, because I feel like it's such a unique one. If you wanted to share that story.
You want me to, or Nicole? You can share it, Nicole.
Yeah, so the name stems from my first dog, Hershey. I don't talk about her a lot, but she was my my first dog as on my own as an owner, a guardian, right? So she was my first dog on my own, and it wasn't easy. I mean, I was in this spot where I was a professional trainer, right? A military police dog trainer. So and we've talked about it before. So of course I knew everything. I knew everything about everything. And I did absolutely everything wrong with her. And she was still such a loving and giving dog. And so the name Ad Astra comes from the Latin saying Ad Astra per aspera, which is towards the stars through difficulty. So it was kind of like an homage to our journey. We were going to get there. We were going to have this great life, but our journey there was not easy, and it wasn't going to be easy. And that was, it wasn't easy because of me, but she also had some pretty significant, I wouldn't say really reactivity, because I think it was more environmental. And I feel like it was once she was finally settled into a place that she felt comfortable and felt safe and felt secure, that a lot of those things went away. But also that meant that I had to stop doing a lot of the things that I was doing. And so I feel like, it's just kind of an homage to our journey.
I love that. And I think it's also a really cool aspect that may not be acknowledged enough, that as dog walkers, you provide so much for the dogs in your care. You're not just taking the dog for a walk to go to the bathroom. You really, like,
Right.
these dogs really become a part of your heart.
They do. I mean, I know for
Yeah.
me, and I know definitely for Carly too, like there's been dogs over the years that we still get choked up about.
Yeah. And dream about.
Yeah, and dream about,
Oh my
and
God, yeah.
still keep in contact with guardians of dogs that have passed. And so I feel like that really does lend to this fact that it's a lot deeper than just I'm walking a dog.
Okay.
We got
So
like sign language going over here.
we're professional podcasters. So now, how long have you been doing this as your profession, Carly? And then what kind of made you, I know you touched on it briefly, but dog walking to rehab vet, that's quite the pivot. So how long have you been a dog walker, and then what brought you to that pivot besides us just getting old?
Yeah. So I guess I've been dog walking, I think 17 years, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to try something new. Because I did get I did get a certification, but I guess it's not real, a real certification, but I did do some schooling for dog training. So I did that for a little bit, but I just didn't feel like it was really for me. So I felt like I wanted something else, like just to learn something new and be in a new environment, and a new challenge, I guess. So, and I feel like with the rehab vet, I learn, I feel like I'm learning a lot every day, like about different conditions and then how it affects behavior too, you
Right.
know. So,
And I would have to think that a lot of that is also very beneficial for the dog walking side of it, because you can
yeah.
almost, because just like with dog trainers, we can catch things in our dog's body language
Mhm.
when we're taking them out for a walk. So you really kind of got an interesting, almost potential niche service for your clients in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we both have become very good at looking at things that other people might miss, like how a dog is walking. And maybe a little bit better at like assessing that a dog might be in pain. I feel like that the times that Carly and I have brought those things up to clients, that there have been things wrong. And I know too, Karen, that you've had that same thing as a trainer, like, talking to a guardian about, hey, I think you need to go to the vet, and then there actually is something wrong. And so I think it does help a lot. You know what I mean? We're not just putting blinders on and just walking a dog and making sure it pee and poops. You know what I mean? Like, we are really invested in the overall health and welfare of the dogs, and that includes things like, hey, your dog's walking kind of funny lately, and
Right.
looks like maybe the hips and maybe in pain, or the knee is in pain, and so I feel like that's a vital skill to have as a dog walker, I think.
Yeah.
It's really important too that people realize how interconnected the fields are, because we can get into the habit of, oh, dog walking, oh, dog trainer, oh, dog behavior, oh, dog vet, when really we're all in the same team and we all need to be involved, because you're going to spend more time walking the dog than I'm going to have that dog just in my small facility. They're not going to be moving as much. So you're going to notice things more than I am. And so it really is a collaborative effort that a lot of people may not think about.
Right.
So, all right, so let's get a little deeper here into like, kind of what we really wanted to talk about. And that was Harley. So tell us a little bit about how you and Harley came together.
Well, she was at the animal shelter that I was a volunteer for. She was very shy, standoffish. There was only really a few people that could take her out. And so I decided to take her home for a weekend. I think I did twice. And she was just so cute and sweet. And, she just sucked up all the love. And I remember like I went to see her at the shelter after she stayed over, and I bent over to like fill up her water, and she jumped on my back like it was a table. It was so cute. So that's kind of how we came together. And then my husband surprised me with her when he saw that she was up for adoption, and I came home and I was like, "What? Why do you have her? What is going on?" And he was like, "I adopted her for you." I don't know if I would have had the guts to adopt her myself because I don't know. I was just nervous to have that. I mean, not necessarily the responsibility, just I just didn't want to get too attached, and I am.
Right. And I think it is a lot too, bringing in your first dog, right? I mean, even if you've had dogs,
Right.
bringing in your first dog as like your own dog, the responsibility of it, but also like you also had bunnies at the time. You saw bunnies, but you had bunnies at the time. And it's like, same thing with me having a cat. Like it's just adds another layer of something can go wrong.
Right.
Something can go really wrong if this dog doesn't enmesh with your rabbits or doesn't, get along well with my cat. And so I like that can be very scary for sure.
Yeah.
So
thankfully she's so small.
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about some of the issues that have cropped up.
Do you have specific questions or?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't want it to say issues like it's a bad thing, but I know that you had to deal a lot with her anxiety.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think it would be helpful for people to really hear about, kind of like that story and like when you started to like start noticing things, when you, when you got to the point where you're like, okay, I really need to like get some help for this, and also how you feel and how that affects you personally.
I mean, just throw everything at her at
Yeah.
once, Nicole. Just right on.
I know. Sorry.
So, okay, let's narrow it down a little bit. You brought Harley home. How long after her coming home did you start to notice that things might not be as easy breezy as you thought they were?
Well, you could probably take this out after if you want, but I don't really have a good, I don't really do well with time. So I really don't remember. I don't know as far, it could have been like a month. It could have been like a year. I really don't have a good solid timeline with that. But I do remember that I spoke to Nicole, and with the little bit of training background I tried to work with her on my own too. And then I also reached out to another trainer, who passed away now, but she had some good advice too. She was telling me to get, one specific treat, like chicken or turkey or something, and just use that anytime my husband was around. And that was like his special treat, So I feel like that worked for a little bit, but, it's just hard to be consistent when it's in your house, every day. You have to be, you can't just be yourself. So I think that that's probably the biggest issue is he's still we've had her for 7 years and he still gets barked at on a daily basis. But sometimes she's better than others. Sometimes he'll just be downstairs in the basement and me and Harley will be upstairs and he'll cough and she'll be like, "Rah, rah." like just from a cough.
It's not
And then other times he can come upstairs and sit with her and she'll just give him kisses and lay with him. Like it's definitely one of those things where it depends on the day. But that's probably like the biggest thing, I guess, with her is just like I wouldn't say it's necessarily protective of me because she kind of ignores him when I'm not home. And she just like sits on the couch and looks at the door. So I don't know if it's necessarily like that she's being protective or I don't know. She's just nervous.
right.
But yeah, I think it takes her a while to trust people, like so it's been like 7 years and I think she's given Nicole a kiss maybe once and my mom like twice. And, so she's just takes her some time, I guess.
Yeah. And I think too, it's like, it's taken her like this long for when she stays at my house when you guys go away for me to be able to like get her to go out to go to the bathroom
and pick her up.
consistently.
Yeah.
And pick her up and take her out, and so
Yeah. And that's another thing too. I can't just like go away for like a night and leave her home with Evan.
Right.
Very rarely can he take her out to go to the bathroom because she just will go into like, I'm shut down. Like, where's my mommy? So that's like a pain in the butt, honestly.
Okay, I wanna back up just a little bit because I'm an outsider here. And we're making an episode for people who don't live with the two of you. So we've kind of been like, I feel like we're dancing around it, and we're just talking about Harley like we know her, which you two do. So Harley came home and she started having some behaviors. We didn't even really address what those behaviors were. We just said we're going to use some chicken or some turkey for it. So what did Harley? And we've established that Harley doesn't really like your husband. But what brought us here? What got us here?
Well, yeah, actually, so I feel like it was like for a month or so, like he was able to take her out, I think, wasn't it? If I remember. And then he picked her up and put her on the kitchen table to leash her up. And she freaked out and she tried to jump off and he grabbed her. And so ever since then, she like won't let him take her out anymore. But that was like 7 years ago. But I mean, I don't know if she was really, for that first month, I don't know if she was really being her true self anyway. And she was just like, I'm just going to let him do this because I have no choice. Right. And then she finally was like, no, I'm going to speak up. I'm not letting him put this on me. I'll just wait for my mom. So I feel like that's kind of like when it changed probably. And then, I mean, she doesn't like, she's probably bit him twice maybe, but not enough to break skin. And it's when he's like moving around. It's like, so at nighttime, we have a pretty good routine. And he'll get into bed first and then she'll get in there and lay with him and she'll snuggle with him for like 20, 30 minutes while I'm getting ready for bed, getting the bunnies all situated for the night, stuff like that. And then I come in and then she lays with me. So as long as we do that, she's fine. If we have to change it up and like I go to bed first or something and then he comes in the room, or if like I'm downstairs and he goes to bed first, she's going to bark. So there was a period where she would kind of chase him down the hallway when he came out of the bathroom. I don't know what that was about. But I usually have a baby gate up at the top of the stairs for the rabbits. So that was also kind of a dual purpose situation there. Right. But she hasn't even barked at him like when he comes out of the shower lately. So I don't know why that was a thing, but so basically her issues with Evan is like barking at him when he's moving around, like when he's up moving around. Right. She doesn't like it. Like when he's sitting down, she'll snuggle with him, but she just doesn't like him moving around. I don't know.
And I feel like that's a really good point to kind of bring in like the overarching concept that we want to touch on here is the fact that she is so small, and does that kind of play into that because Evan is very tall.
Yeah.
And I feel like is that maybe kind of a factor, that she is so tiny. And we were just talking about it last night, that I don't even realize how small she is until we like put it into numbers, right? Like, she's a small dog.
Right.
But then when we were talking last night about, well, she's only 7 pounds, like 7 pounds is half the size of my cat. So, you know what I mean? She is tiny, but sometimes we kind of forget that. And so I kind of was thinking, you know, do you feel like a lot of these anxieties and these displays, you know, of like barking at him when he's moving around, or, you know, kind of being a little bit unsure of people, has to do like with her size?
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like now, I mean, we're skipping around, but I feel like now, like, even I notice a difference in her, like, her barking with Evan, like, sometimes barking, and it sounds like she's really wanting to play with him and kind of like, you know.
She does have different barks.
Yeah, versus the I'm really unsure about what's going on right now bark.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you actually said like a really beautiful, important thing that, or a little bit ago, that like you're really close to the situation. You live in it every day. So sometimes it can be hard to see those differences or see the changes that are happening, or to like really go back and be like, was it a month or was it 6 months or what it, so like it can be really hard on just, even for myself right now, there's some days where I'm like, how long has my second dog been home? So like it's important to acknowledge that sometimes you can be too close to the situation to see improvement or to really see the big picture.
Yeah.
So that's important to acknowledge too.
Yeah. So I wanted to also talk about some of the other like anxiety type stuff with her. Like, I know like
Fireworks.
Fireworks are a big thing. And it's really sucks because in our neighborhood they can go off any time. I wish it was just around July 4th.
Yeah.
But they literally can go off on a random like Wednesday night. So I know that that's been really hard. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like all the things that you've tried and done?
Yeah. I mean, it was really bad. I don't know if it was like that first summer of COVID, but there were times where there would be fireworks at like 5 o'clock, and for a few months she didn't go outside after that time. So like she would be holding her pee for like 12 hours a night, more than that. Which is sad, you know, but we tried, we have like a big fan that we just keep in the room, at, like one of those big box fans, and we just keep it in the room all the time. And if I hear a noise like at night, then I put it on. But in the summertime, it goes on at like 8 o'clock. And sometimes, especially around the 4th of July or like Labor Day, like we just, even Memorial Day too, we'll just go upstairs at like 8 o'clock and put the fan on, and I'll read a book because I can't even hear the TV because the fan is so loud. And that's kind of like the only thing that really drowns it out. I do have a couple safe spaces for her. I have one in the closet, and then we also have a crate that we bring that out in the summertime too. She wasn't really like going into it very much, so it took a while for her to like really get used to that. Because she wasn't crated, and when I got her, we did try to crate her, but it didn't work out. So she does go in there sometimes. I took it away for the wintertime. But you know, so I think we have to kind of work on that every summer, maybe like reintroduce it to her again and like practice her going in there. But if I'm there, she's just going to come to me, or she's going to be pacing, and she doesn't want to just stay in one spot. You know, and that was one of the reasons that we didn't use the crate, in the beginning because even though we like didn't have her for very long, she was already like attached to me, and she was like, I can't be in this crate. And she was like scratching at it, and then we put her in one of an X pen, and she was scratching at that, and she must have gotten her foot stuck or something because she's so little, and she yelped, and I was like, you're never going on that thing again. It's okay. So, but she does, like, she paces, she tries to get under the bed. So I kind of just learned to just let her do what she wants to do. But it's really hard for me to stay calm because I've always, I went to fireworks when I was younger, but I wasn't really that into them. Like, I was like, why do my friends want to go to the fireworks again? Like, we already went once. I'm all set.
Right.
I just don't like the loud noise. So, and I get startled very easily because I have anxiety too. So it stresses me out too. So it's something that I have to work on too. Like, I have to watch her, make sure she's not going to hurt herself. But then I also have to like make sure that I'm keeping as calm as I can, which is just as hard,
Right.
but she's on Prozac. And then I have a couple other things, like natural things that I give her. One goes on her ear, one's like the rescue remedy, so I think this past year she seemed a little bit better. So hopefully she's, going to get through it. And it's not, the fireworks haven't been as bad as they were the first 2 years.
Knock on wood.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like too what you said about kind of letting her do what she needs to do. I feel like there's such a pushback among professionals that, oh my God, you're letting her do what she wants. You're letting her get away with something, and you're just feeding into the anxiety, and she's never going to get over it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, you can't tell her what she needs to feel comfortable.
Right.
And that, I feel like I had to kind of learn that with Zed too, because Zed, towards the end of his life, kind of had like a weird thing with fireworks. Like, he started his younger years, no worries. Like, fireworks was like a non-issue. And then as he got into adulthood, he was really bad with them. And then, when he was a senior and his hearing started going, he was a little bit better. But, one of the things that I really had to embrace was letting him do what he needed to do to feel safe. And if that meant he needed to go lay in the bathroom, he needed to go lay in the bathroom. If it meant he needed to go and lay under my bed, then he needed to go lay under my bed. Like, there was no amount of me imposing what I thought was safety onto him that was going to make him feel better. And so I think that's a really important point that a lot of guardians need to hear, is that sometimes they need to decide for themselves what is going to make them feel better.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing that needs to be acknowledged, and I think most people that are listening to this will already be acknowledging it, but for those who just happen to stumble upon this, I think it's really important that it's also acknowledged that we be there for our dogs, and not just like, yes, let them do what they need to, but also take those steps that we can, like you are doing with her, with the Prozac and the rescue remedy, and not just being like, let them figure it out. I'm going to go out and enjoy the fireworks, and they'll just be home.
I'll stay home. Yeah.
Exactly. Because very similar to your story, Nicole, the past 2 years, all of a sudden, CJ, I was the terrible owner. I would bring CJ because like CJ loved fireworks. So he'd be like, let's go. And these past 2 years, he has been like shut down. So I'm like, I'm staying home. I'm not going anywhere. And so it's important that we be there for our dogs and not just be like, peace, see you later.
Right.
Plus, we also don't need any more like shaky, grainy videos from people being like, oh, I went to the fireworks. Look at them. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see it.
Nobody cares. Yeah. I think it's kind of funny too that we're talking about this, because we just talked about last night in terms of like the business side of this is being closed for 4th of July, because last year, I'm not gonna lie, last year was really hard. It was really hard
Yeah.
on me. It was really hard on the dogs. Um, and so we decided that this year we're going to close, and we're not closing for selfish reasons where we want to go enjoy 4th of July. I mean, that is also true, but we're closing because if your dog has an issue with fireworks, sending them somewhere else that isn't their safe place and isn't with their safe people is not going to make it better. It's only going to make them feel worse and make me feel worse. And so last year was really hard. Like the amount of hurt that I felt watching other people's dogs have such a hard time was really hard. And so, I think if somebody listening out there has a dog that maybe does have some issues with anxiety around fireworks, like, what Karen said is you need to be there with them.
Yeah.
It's great that you're going to go on vacation. Schedule your vacation another week. Be home with them. Be their comfort. Be their safe space. Be that safety and structure for them, and take your vacation at a different time because they need you. They don't need me. They don't need to be in an environment that they're not used to. And so we are actually closed.
Yeah, and I had a hard time too when I had to do visits in the client's home.
Right.
I don't think they told us even that the dog was afraid at first.
Right.
And I'm like, do you have anything like that I can give her? Like any medicine but she lived right on the beach. So it was like, I just felt so bad. Like I stayed a long time with her while I was thinking about my own dog too at home, so it was a lot. I felt so bad.
And then that goes into that compassion fatigue that is so hard to get back from because you're worried about the client's dog, but you're worried about your dog, and then you're leaving the client dog to get to your dog, and you're going, oh no. So like it's
right.
People need to realize how much dog professionals care about these animals. So it is draining on the system. So I'm so glad to hear that you guys are going to be closed this year because I just think that that's the right decision.
Yeah. I mean, I hope people understand where we're coming from. I did try to explain it, but
and hopefully they won't travel and they'll get it,
Right. That you can go on vacation another week.
Right.
Like there's 51 other weeks that you could go away.
Or bring your dog with you. Like
or
we
bring
are.
your dog with
exactly.
you. Right. Yeah. So, okay. So another thing, if you're okay talking about, because I feel like it does kind of tie all into the journey of you and Harley, is some of like the medical issues that you had to deal with. If you want to talk a little bit about that, as that also kind of interplays with that anxiety piece.
Yeah, just talk about how it started and stuff, or... Yeah. Okay. So I took her away with me on vacation. I think it was actually a 4th of July weekend.
Of course.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she ended up having like a couple lumps on her. And I thought maybe we're in a new place. Maybe she just got bit by something. But it just wouldn't go away. And more lumps kept coming up. So I ended up having to take her to several different vets. And I'd take her to several different vets before we could get a diagnosis of paniculitis. So she is better. She needs long-term medication, but she had to go to a lot of vets, and I just feel like it kind of, I don't know, like she didn't have a negative experience at the vet before that. So I think that was a lot for her, yeah. And then when she was also attacked by another dog and she had to stay overnight. I mean, that was really scary. Like she almost didn't make it. So when we went to visit her at the hospital, I said to my husband, I'm like, do you think that it's time to let her go? Because she was like so out of it, and there was so much blood, and there was a lot of, a lot of wounds on her. So it was tough. And then, trying to bring her to the rehab hospital, she just wasn't the same anymore. I can't bring her with me anymore because she has a history of seizures, but it's not enough that like she needs medication for it. So we just give her CBD. But after she was hospitalized for the dog attack, I brought her with me to the rehab vet because she does have to get treatment and physical therapy. I just brought her with me to work and she had a seizure. So I'm sure that it was because of that. So, yeah, she does have quite a few issues, but I guess that's just the way it is. Yeah.
Can you go a little bit deeper into the dog attack and how it not only affected Harley, but how it affected you, how you might feel or think differently about things after that?
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of happened so quickly. The dog was off leash on the other side of a fence. We were on the inside of a fence in a yard. And she just slipped under the fence so fast, and there was no time for me to get there. It wasn't like, a typical greeting where they're like, oh, let's sniff each other, it was just immediate attack. So I guess, and I don't know, I guess, she is so good because she doesn't seem to have fear of big dogs. And this dog was like 93 pounds. She still likes big dogs. Like one of her best friends is, I don't know, 80 pounds, loves her, so I think that, like, she's just an amazing dog. For me, it's different. Like, I do feel like I am a bit standoffish. Like there was like a big dog that came into the rehab hospital and I was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom because I was scared of it. Like I've never felt that way before. Like I've never seen a dog and wanted to walk away, you know? I don't have to say hi to every dog I meet, but I just was like, I just need to pull myself away. I think it was hard for me too, because I do feel like I'm supposed to be her protector and I couldn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like what felt like an eternity trying to get this dog to let her go, it was probably only like a minute or two, but it just felt like forever, like trying to protect her and I couldn't,
Right.
So, and for a while I was very hesitant to introduce new dogs to each other. Before that, I kind of, even dogs like with behavioral issues, like I would just know like, okay, this is going to be fine. I'm going to introduce them. They're going to be best friends, and they would be. And then I wouldn't have any hesitations there, but, took me a while to be okay with introducing new dogs. I feel like I'm okay with it now, but it took a while. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how that trauma can manifest in ways that we don't necessarily like think it will, because I feel like that too. Like I feel like you've always been really good about reading behavior, knowing like what dogs will be good together. I mean, not to say that I haven't like introduced dogs to each other, but I feel like I'm a lot more like I'd rather just
Just not have to worry about it.
Yeah, rather just not most of the time. But I've always felt like, if I was going to do that, I would be like, okay, can you be there with me and we'll do these two dogs together?
Yeah.
I've always felt like that you've had a really good handle on that. And I feel like there's been dogs. I mean, there's been dogs that I have not felt comfortable with that you have felt comfortable with. And I feel like that's like a testament to like your confidence, even though you don't think that you have that, but I do feel like that is a testament to your confidence in being able to read and understand dog body language. And so yeah, so I feel like for me, watching you go through this experience was kind of like an unanticipated consequence. Like I didn't expect that for you to feel that way. You know what I mean? About introducing the other dogs. Like I of course expected you to be like, Harley's never gonna meet another dog again. Yeah. But in terms of like our work side of that, like that was something I didn't expect. I understand it, but I just was it just kind of took me off guard that that's how the trauma would manifest for you.
Well, and I don't want to just like skim over that either, because I think that's something that people, like we've talked about in every aspect of these fields, experiences. And I think sometimes we don't talk about it because it's almost like the elephant in the room, especially to our clients. Like we're supposed to be the professionals. We're supposed to be comfortable and confident with it. And we're never supposed to, have these mistakes happen. But they do. Just because this is our job doesn't mean that we don't have these feelings and this residual trauma from these fights, because unfortunately we don't live in a perfect world, and dogs have sharp pointy teeth and they bite sometimes.
And that was I don't know how you kept it together, honestly. Like I don't know how you kept it together. I mean, I'm surprised that she made it, looking at the extensive damage, like broken, torn out shoulder, just kind of flopping out there, and all the wounds on her. And I think another thing too is that, like what you said, is that could have really changed her to the point where she would be like, I'm so afraid of all my dogs, even the ones I've known. I'm so afraid of every dog. And it didn't.
So my kind of question to kind of pivot away from the trauma is just kind of the bigger thing, or the bigger kind of overall topic that I was thinking of during all of this, is kind of the experience of small dog owners or small dog guardians with dogs that have X, Y, or Z behaviors. I don't have small dogs. I've never I have bigger dogs. So I can't speak to that experience, but what is it like? Because I have to assume it is, it's a small dog. It's okay.
Right.
Just pick them up and it'll all be so kind of what is cute. That?
Oh, what she's barking. It's so cute. She's barking. Oh, look at her. She's barking.
So what is kind of your experience been with being a small dog guardian with some anxieties from your dog?
Well, this is my first small dog too. Like we always had bigger dogs. And then when I lived with Nicole, she had Hershey, and so, which she was a big Great Dane. I never really thought I would be a small dog owner. Like I always thought I would have big dogs, but then once I got her, I was like, this is a match made in heaven, basically. We make sense. But yeah, a lot of people don't listen. I mean, I'll just say, she's not comfortable being pet. And people just don't listen. So I think what I used to take her with me a lot, like to the pet store. I still do go to the pet store once in a while. Just because she can't really go for long walks, but I try to go when it's not too busy. And if somebody's coming to pet her, I'll just pick her up and walk away. It's a little bit easier. Like people aren't going to come up to your chest and try to pet them. But I don't take her to places that I used to. Like I used to take her to like Home Goods and Home Depot, stuff like that. But it's just too much for her, and it's too much for me too. And people just do not listen. I used to take her with me to my friend's house too, and I can't do that because people don't listen, Right. What else was I thinking? But there was one thing that I thought about. So when she goes to the vet, right? I have to weigh her. And I noticed something that I did and I didn't even think about it. So like we have to weigh dogs all the time at the rehab vet. And we'll ask them to get on. We're not going to force them on, like if they don't want to go on, then I'm like, forget it. We're not going to weigh you. But if we can't get them on and we really need to wait, we'll try to use treats, to entice them, make it a more positive experience. But for Harley, I just pick her up and put her on the scale. And I didn't even realize that I did that until I was like really thinking about it, and then I realized that I did that and I felt so bad. I do feel like with her barking, like people do downplay it, and with her body language, I don't know if it's just hard to recognize because with Harley, I am a lot closer to her, so I can see those little signals. Like I'm just gonna, show the whites of my eyes and look to you at the corner of my eye. That's basically what she'll do before she's like, I'm gonna bark or snap. And when I mean snap, she doesn't actually bite, but I call it a boop because she does it to Evan sometimes. Like she'll just boop him. Her mouth is closed, but it's like she's gearing up and then she's like, forget it. But a lot of people just don't take it seriously because she's so small.
Right.
And I think that probably contributes to her anxiety. I mean, not probably, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, if you're constantly not being listened to,
Yeah.
I mean, we just know that from being humans, you and I, that when you're constantly not being listened to, like it doesn't make you feel good, obviously, but it also can make those things worse. And it's like, if I'm trying to tell somebody to get out of my space and they're not listening, then I mean, that's a horrible feeling to have, right? That you can't express yourself or say the things that you need to say, for people too, right? And I feel like having a small dog versus a big dog, and I know that I have said it to people before, is would you do that same thing if this dog was 80 pounds?
Right.
Or, if this dog was a quote pit bull, right? Would you be doing the same thing of, oh, it's okay. I know, oh, it's so cute that they're barking at me. No. I guarantee you wouldn't. You know what I mean? So it's infuriating for me. I can't even imagine how it is for you.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, it's frustrating. I can't bring her to my friend's house because of a couple people that might show up, because she does enjoy my friends, but if somebody else shows up, then she's just going to be uncomfortable.
Right.
I've just taken to be uncomfortable for those people. Now, granted,
clueless.
I have a 90-pound German Shepherd, so it's a little bit more effective. But if they're not listening to me, I'm like, I can let this leash go and we can tango. We can see Cita's been waiting for this moment. but again, that goes back to this, like, just because she's 7 pounds does not mean that these people should not be listening to you. They need to be respecting that you are saying whatever it is you are saying. It's so important. The dog size should not matter.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I see it on walks too. Like people just,
definitely,
like want to come up and like pet her. And it's like, obviously she's your dog and you know her better than anybody. But even I get like, is this person like going to get too close and going to make Harley like not feel okay? You know what I mean? And so I think that is because she's a small dog. And I feel like if she wasn't, I probably wouldn't feel that way.
Yeah.
But I also think that there was another really important tidbit in there that you said, that we as the guardians, we are like right now, yes, we're laying the blame on other people and they deserve it. These people, they need to frickin' listen. Just stop
Right.
walking up to random dogs and trying to touch them. Just stop.
Right.
But
Not all
I
dogs
also
love
think
you.
we have to acknowledge that we as the guardians get it wrong sometimes too. But once we know it, we course correct. Because you were saying that you would just pick her up and put her on the scale. And I would notice in the past when somebody would come towards me and CJ, I would, pull up on the leash because I'd be like, no, don't come any closer. So we have to be aware of those things that we're doing, and we have to self-reflect sometimes too. And that can be almost as challenging.
So I had one last question because we're getting close to Karen's bedtime.
You say that every time, every single time. But you're right. But I mean, you're not wrong. You're also not wrong.
I know. I can't
I'm an early bedtime or two.
Yeah, I can't complain.
Solidarity and early bedtime.
Okay, so I have one question, and I hope that you guys don't take this the wrong way because you both have said this.
Already, I'm going to take it the wrong way.
I know.
Just on purpose now.
But you both have said this, and it's something that has stuck in the back of my mind that I just want to I want to try to understand where you both are coming from because you both have said it. I have never, and I'm not saying this means like I'm
spit it out.
Spit it out. Okay. I have never felt like I needed a break from my dog. I've never felt like obviously you both know me. I want to go on vacation. I want to take all these trips and go on vacation and enjoy things. But I specifically want to do those things with my dog. And you both have said, there are times where you just need to get away and you need to get away without your dog. So explain that because I feel like a lot of people feel that way. I don't. So I don't understand it.
Do you want me to go first, Karen?
Sure, go first.
Well, this might be partly because she's a small dog and because of her issues.
Right.
She constantly follows me around everywhere I go. Constantly. I can't even go to the bathroom without her. I can't even take a shower without her. She has a bed in the bathroom. Not in the shower. In the bathroom. And sometimes I just want to be alone and not have to worry about giving her like 3 Kongs and a puzzle and
right.
That's basically.
So you feel like it's more of a reflection too of that level of anxiety that you kind of have, like that I don't say feeds off is the right kind of word for it, but like her anxiety also is a level or a source of anxiety for you too. And so it's like you need that break to like mentally reset and almost like self-care for yourself because you're 24/7 with her. She's got stories of her own back there.
I don't know what she's doing down there.
She's having fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think like it just changes the dynamic a little bit when I love bringing her on vacations, but it is nice to just go places with Evan and not have to worry about her because Evan doesn't do as many like outdoorsy things. You know what I mean? Like if I'm with Harley, then I know we're going to do a lot of walking and hiking and going to the beach. And that's not what me and Evan do together. We do a lot of like, let's go see a movie, let's go out to dinner, let's relax and watch a movie. And it's like, sometimes we just want to be just the two of us.
Gotcha. Karen's like,
I mean, I would have to say, like, I certainly agree with a lot of what you're saying, that sometimes it's just nice to, like, get away, because, like, my business is run out of my home, so I'm literally home 24/7 with my dog. But I think, and I don't want to say that this isn't the same for you, but I think for me it goes in a little bit of a different direction, that I don't know how to like start this without seeing very self-important, but like I
Okay.
feel sometimes like I don't even want to say it because I feel like gross, but like I have so much empathy at times, and then I tend to anthropomorphize a lot with my dogs, even though I know better. But I get so wrapped up in the we didn't go for a walk today, even though he didn't want to go for a walk. So I'm a bad parent and I haven't met his needs and I have to do this. And then the next thing I know, I'm so stressed out because I think he's not happy, even though he's like, what's your problem, lady? I'm comfy on the couch. I overanalyze it. And if I can get away from that for a day or two, I can go, okay, he really didn't want to go for a walk that day and he was perfectly content. So for me, it's just getting a little bit of distance from what I can overanalyze and try to overcompensate for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you both. Thank you both for that.
Sure.
Because I do feel like probably a lot more people that care to admit probably go through that same thing. And, I don't know if just the way our society is or dog society, but, you're made to kind of feel bad about taking time away from your dog or from your pets. You know what I mean? So I think that was really helpful to kind of understand where you guys were coming from, for sure. Thank you.
Definitely.
All right, Karen, do you have anything else?
Well, I just want to say that I think it's really cool to see two sisters not only start a business, but grow a business. And still, I mean, I don't want to overstep, but I want to say still like each other, because I think a lot of times family businesses can, make us, and I'm sure there's moments where I'm a sister too. I get it. I don't always like my sister, but I just think it's really cool and really special that that's something you have. And I'm really thankful that you guys were willing to kind of share that story. And I just think it's really cool.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I love what I try to say what Carly has built. I know that I'm in there too, but I really do feel like I'm Carly's partner versus we're partners. You know what I mean? So I feel like she has built something so great and I've just kind of been in the, kind of in the wings a little bit. But that's a good thing, right? Like I feel like you deserve to be propped up.
Well,
That
thank
makes
you.
sense. Yeah. And I do. And we haven't really had an episode about me yet, but I'm
gonna wear you down. We're gonna do it.
I am thankful that when I moved back here, that Carly was gracious enough to give me a job, and then moved into being partners, because it I know it did cross both of our minds about is our relationship too close to be able to run a business and do it well. And so yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there's been ups and downs.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that what we have is great, and I'm glad that we did it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like any relationship, you got to work at it sometimes, but
yeah.
Also, side note, I hope that this is taken in with so much love. I can't wait for people to listen to this episode just to for them to hear you say summertime and wintertime, because I'm like, they're just gonna.
Did I say that?
You did, and I was like, I love this. I love it, and I'm so excited. So. a real actual Massachusetts accent, not this fake Ben Affleck stuff in the movies. So
Awesome. All right. Well, Carly, do you have any questions for us before we wrap up?
I don't think so. No.
That's all right.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we hope you enjoyed this conversation.
I did. Thank you very much for having me.
Wait, I have to get my notes out because I always forget what
Don't
we're supposed
forget to
say.
give your dog a biscuit from
Right.
us.
Okay.
Until next time.
We're professionals.
Yes, yes.